Well, hello YouTube. Welcome to 2026. This is the first broadcast of the new year. It is the 4th of January. And yeah, gonna jump right into it. I've got a couple things to catch you up on and then we'll go into it. It's a new year. I've got some plans for the year. I talked about this last week in my really boring video with the bad audio, with the bad data connection. Yeah, go watch that if you're really excited about it. Long story short, I'm going to be doing a few extra things this year, a few getting back into some things, and yeah, I think it's going to be a pretty good time. So, let's get into it. Trying to think if there's any other house cleaning things I have to think about. I talked last week about the fact that I'm continuing work on the role-playing game. I talked about the fact that I straightened up and organized some things around the shop. The trees that I made the week before that, I'm going to have to redo because the flock's falling off. That's little stuff. So this week I'm getting back to the ship, which I did not yet put on the table because I was cleaning some things off. I'll grab it in just a second. But before I do that, I'm going to just very little things that I need to cover. I know a lot of y'all like the behind the scenes things. Okay, first, and this is just silly, this is just me. Years ago, I bought this waterproof. I haven't tried it yet. Not really brave enough to try that. It was $1. This waterproof LED puck light. All of the LEDs come on at once. They all stay the same color. They have lots of different options. They can blink, they can flash, they can be in different colors. I'm going to turn it on below the deck of this thing because it can get very flashy, and I would hate to cause somebody a seizure. But it has not worked. And it has the strangest thing. I think I figured out why this thing's at the dollar store. One, it's really, really, really flashy, and it's probably dangerous for anybody with epilepsy or a similar condition. Second, even though I had it for so long that the battery died in the remote, and one of my patrons, Digital Calibrator, got me new batteries for the remote. So I got that, and I still didn't think it was working. But then I changed the batteries, and even though the batteries that were in the puck itself were good, it wouldn't work. So I switched to cheapy, the also dollar store no-name batteries, which were about the same amount of good as the previous ones, and it works fine. And I've switched them back and forth about 5 or 6 times. It's probably exaggeration, 2 or 3 times, and it still doesn't like the other batteries. So who knew? So yeah, let me turn this on down here. And there you go. As you can see, it's got several different colors. I like this orange. This orange is kind of cool. I don't know if you can see that, but anyway, it's orange. It's bright. Blah blah. It's got some interesting things like the volume controls. I mean, I guess they are volume controls. The brightness controls, when it's on the flashy versions, change the speed at which it flashes. So, yeah. And I'm already getting warnings that I'm not getting enough data through. I was fine for a half an hour before the video, but now it's giving me issues. So, wow, we got stuff going on in the thing. All right. We got LC, Loosely Collected, coming in first. Woot. Jacob Hope saying woot. Kelly Lynn. Oh no, had to hit the tablet with a hammer. Tablet's not doing well, huh? That's no good. So let's see. Get the big hammer. Yeah, use the bigger hammer. I think I have missed the last 2 holiday stuff and various projects. Yep, that's how the holidays work. The last 2 were basically uneventful. I made some trees, and then I talked about the end of the year. Not super exciting stuff. And holidays are pretty quiet, so it was here. Okay, so that's the light puck, which goes up yonder, but we'll take care of that later. There's the instructional manuals. And the big deal, I got new push pins, which means I can do tonight's build on the ship because I was out of push pin, not out, low on push pins and wouldn't have been able to finish the railing. So I know where the ship is. I don't know where I put the foam I was going to use as the railing. So I may have to cut more foam because I know y'all love watching me cut things. That's kind of a joke. All right, so excuse me. I'm going to switch this top cam because I already mentioned one of my patrons. Where is my mouse pointer? There it is. And that was Digital Calibrator. Digital Calibrator came over. We talked about a whole bunch of stuff, kind of cool, mostly about the role-playing game, not so much about the channel. But she did grab me some push pins. It took me to go get push pins and picked them up for me, which I thought was cool. So I appreciate that hugely. And those will get put to good use, some of them tonight. My other patrons, Patrick Walther, longtime supporter of the channel, and has a channel of his own called Hacksaw's Hobby Bunker. So go give that a view. Build some great stuff. I've got Dungeon Matron. That's Lisa. Lisa is not only my patron, but also a friend. She has sent stuff to me as well to help with the channel. So some of the audio and such like that is due to her sending me some equipment. So that's very cool. She is part of a YouTube channel called Flocking With You, which she does with Kim from Questboard Terrain and Carl from Carl Make Stuff. Excuse me. And they have things every Wednesday, live streams every Wednesday, 1 p.m. Pacific to 3 p.m. Pacific. And they talk about just hobby stuff, the same stuff that I'm doing here and that sort of thing. And they talk about gaming and hobbying within the game. You know what I mean? So it's a good time to hang out. So come go watch Flocking With You on Wednesdays. But if you want to go to Lisa's Discord or mine, just to hang out and talk with people, links are in the down below. So give that a go. Go down there. Yeah. Okay. Solo Nick has 2 channels. One is Solo Nick. That's where he talks about the same sort of stuff we're talking about here: gaming, crafting, minis, painting, that sort of thing. He also has one called Climbing Moss, where he does man about town stuff. This one that he did this last week was really cool. He's born in London, and he had a video about Cockney slang. So that was kind of cool. I was very proud. I knew most of those, which is funny considering how very much I have never been to England. Yeah, so all sorts of stuff. And then there's Mia Geeked. Mia Geeked, also known as Mia, also known as Pepper, has her own channel. Hasn't done that much with it, but is often on as one of the guests on Flocking With You, and also is on Shadows of Arconia, both as a player sometimes and as a GM sometimes. Shadows of Arconia plays all sorts of different games over on Twitch. So yeah, that's everybody. Let me switch this light on, then I'll switch this camera, because there's always that big flash when the light comes on. So let me switch that on and then switch cameras. Watch out, just make it a little bright. I don't think it'll be too bad. There we go, and then that's going to settle down. I'll switch the other camera in a second, but let me grab the ship while I'm over here. I'm talking louder, like y'all can't hear me. The mic is right in front of my face. Okay. All righty. Here's where we're at with the ship so far. As you can see, it's come along a pretty good ways. This is what we're doing tonight, is more of this, but along here. Now, last time that I dealt with the ship, y'all remember that I dropped one of my little hatchway doors. I obviously found it since I'm holding it in my hand. I haven't put it back on yet, but that goes there. And this one goes here. Oh, more little hot glue webbies. All right, so we're not going to mess with any of these tonight. I do need to know where the masts are at some point, but that's not tonight. That's a different night. For right now, we're just doing railings. So I'm going to grab that and move that out of the way. Now, I am being dumb. I can already tell you I'm being dumb, and I'll explain why, or how, not why. There is no reason for why. Just I have it in my head that I'm going to work on the railings tonight. This one needs to have the space where the mechanism for driving the ship, where the pulleys and chains and ropes, and it wouldn't be chains, pulleys and ropes and such, would drive the mechanism to turn a rudder. My rudder's not really going to turn, and I'm not actually going to have anything in that space. I just need to account for it for a little bit of realism. In mine, that's going to put it somewhere in the middle here. This is going to be the captain's quarters, and in between where that block is going and this wall, there's going to be basically storage. I'm going to put like a divider and something. Anyway, so it'll all work out in the end. All right, so if you remember, I made these with the little key-in layer so that they will fit right where I need them to go and stay in place. I did that both fore and aft, and good to go there. Now, this one is supposed to have a piece of trim around the edge, but I have noticed that I cut that a little off, or the boat has expanded or something. So I'm not sure how I'm going to fix that. So the back one does not have that issue. The rear one, the aft one, does not have that issue. So actually, before I go losing it by tipping this thing over again, I'm going to take that and the front one and put them out of the way so I don't misplace them. There we go. I placed them so I won't misplace them. We'll see how that works out. If you remember, I made these stairs last time, and you can see how they just sort of free float here when there's no deck on it. But the deck, both decks, the forecastle and poop decks, fit right on there and look good with those steps. They're close enough for gaming, and you can do the... Ooh, where'd my little guy go? I have a main little guy I use for everything. I don't know where he went. Well, that's a mystery. He was sitting right up here. Oh, well, let me grab another one of the same size. Is this him? That's him. That's the main one. So, as you can see, now this is old school square bases, so bases will catch in there like that, so you can have them actually standing on the stairs. Say if they've got so many movement points and they're coming to here, or if you say they're trying to get up the stairs but somebody's blocking it, they're trying to get down the stairs but somebody's blocking it. So if you're kind of careful with it, they'll sit in there and stay. Now, if you bump it, they're going to fall, but it's better than most stairs in gaming. All right, so my doors do not open, but they are very secure and very sturdy, and they actually made the walls sturdier because the walls are foam and the doors are wood. Anyway, so this needs to have some trim around the bottom. And I need to do that first because that lets me know exactly where my push pins are going to go in. So let me go grab some foam, and I will make things for these sides. Now, this has sort of the same issue the other one had, so I'm going to have to kind of figure that out. I think I got a way to figure it out, though. I think I've got it figured out. All right, so let's go grab some of my mini foam offcuts. That's a joke, I think. I didn't mean it as a joke, but get it? Mini. Okay. Dad jokes, and I don't even have kids. Oh, while I'm thinking about it, anybody else crafting, or y'all just hanging out tonight? I ask that every time. All right, so what I'm going to do on this, and I may do this to the front to fix it as well, I'm going to take this piece and attach it in here, which will be a problem for sitting in there like that. But what I'm then going to do is trim it straight across again to take care of this bowed arc I did from however the heck I screwed that up the first time. All right, so the sides on this one should be fine. So I'm going to go ahead and glue a piece in here. And I'm trying to get rid of this little overhang. But that overhang is curved, so I'm going to glue that into here and then cut across it once that's cooled off. So I'm going to sit and do that for a second. That's going to take just a second to cool off anyway. So I'm going to sit and read the chat, see what y'all are talking about, because y'all are here. Is Hacksaw's Hobby Bunker the same as used to have a website of the same name from the 90s or 2000s? Sort of. There is a Hobby Bunker that's in Australia. That then became Knights of Dice. Knights of Dice was when he had the Hobby Bunker, that was a gaming place where they used to hang out. Aussies used to get together and game. Then he stopped having his own facility like that, and he switched it over to having laser cut terrain, and that was called Knights of Dice, KOD, like Kniggets of Dice, like the smelly little Kniggets from Monty Python, Knights of Dice. Then life changed and things have happened, and so Knights of Dice went dormant, but not out. Became Knights of Dice, and then Knights of Dice kind of went defunct, but now is sort of reanimated, revivified by this other company. That may be it. There is also a hobby bunker that is an American thing, but I don't know that that is Hacksaw's hobby bunker. Now, Hacksaw may have their own hobby bunker name as well, and you would have to talk to him about that, because that would have been before my time on the YouTube, or even realizing that I wasn't alone out here doing geeky dorky stuff. So all I'm doing this off camera because it's easier for me to hold it, but all I'm doing is putting a bead along here and then pushing this piece onto it. Hot glue is my favorite glue, but I'm using it for here because obvious reasons, so I don't have to wait for it to cool or wait for it to dry. And yeah, basically that's it. That's really the whole thing. I don't want to have to wait for it to dry. I want to get on with the project for the evening. Okay, now it looks like it's still got this curve here, but we're going to cut that to match the back of the ship here in a moment. I think this one layer might do it, but I may have to attach a little more. That's going to take just a bit to cool off. I do have a dual temp gun that's on the low temp, so it doesn't take as long to cool, and so I don't run as much chance of burning my fingers. And I have glued that to my desktop, as is often the case with whenever the hot glue piece has to be right on the desktop. Not a big deal. Take a little knife, slide it under, make sure the blade's angled down a little so you don't cut into your piece, and it'll take that glue right up. And the glue does not particularly like to stick to the cutting mat, so these little ridges of glue that end up, they come up pretty easily. You just take a knife and scrape them like that, and they're gone. Okay, so that's created a slight mess, but this will all be hidden by the push pins and everything else here in a minute, so it's all good, all good. Okay. Alrighty. Now, I need to cut across there in a straight line. But first, in order to do that, I'm going to need to cut here so that it so I can lay this flat while I push the thing, while I put the straight edge against it and cut it. So I'm just going to take this, and that's why I like these blades. They're slightly flexible. If you flex it too much, they'll pop and break. If longtime viewers of the channel have seen me do that, frightening. Remember, my table's wonky. I should use thicker plywood for the surface. It does good for 95% or more of what I do, but every once in a while, I get something where I need to pull out the flat board. And I did a crummy job there. So let's do that again. Nope, not this way. It keeps catching on this piece here. So we're going to go this way. Apparently, that was the only part that was sticking up. So that's good. Let's try that again. Okay. Good. We're good there. Okay. So now, take this, turn that piece off because I don't need that little flappy piece on the edge there. Save those for the rubble pile later. I have a lot of foam. I actually dropped several boxes on it. I posted a picture on the Discord, so if you don't want to see my big mess that I had to clean up, it's on the Discord. It's just one picture. It's not a big deal. But yeah, that was fun. In the same way that the people hate that saying, "May you live in interesting times." That was fun in the same way that's interesting. Okay, so now I need to go from this point of white to this point of white and to take off whatever blue is in between there, which means I'm going to have to do some very, very delicate work here. So you may learn new words. show is not for kids. Just reminding people, this show is not for kids. Okay, that is some sharpening. Well, not sharpening, honing. Oh yeah, much better. No, don't cut into the cardboard, you dingus. No. So sharp it's sliding right into the right into the cardboard. Can't speak English, but all right. Only my first language. I thought you used this for the rubble pile. Yeah, those pieces were too small. Okay. That good? Yep, that'll work. Okay, so now I have fixed that. That is smooth across this back edge. And flush, level, whatever, across this back edge. And smooth off here. So good to go again. Let me just prove my point to myself because I always worry about stuff. Okay, so that looks good. All right, so I need a little bit on this side as well, but good Lord, that's going to be a pain in the butt to trim. All right, well, we're still going to do it. I got to do more of the same. I promise. I'm getting to the push pins tonight. I am. Probably. Very likely. That's the intent. All right, so like I did before. Wow, I really can't do this over there. Sorry, I'm literally just running a bead along this edge. You know how glue works. Okay. I'm going to get to the point where I'm pushing this on to make sure it sticks again. And when I'm doing that, I'm going to read the chat again, see what y'all are talking about. Oh, that's the wrong way. Okay. Late dinner for Callie Lynn. That happens. Glad you're getting some. Made some really good spaghetti last night. Posted a picture in the Discord. Most people aren't super into the whole food posting thing. I get that. And more buffering. I can't help that. I can't do anything about that. I apologize. But there's nothing I can do about it. Oh, I didn't stop talking or anything. I'm still talking. There's no point while it's buffering. You're not going to hear me anyway. So, okay. Now, bring that around here. Okay, that's good there. And that is good there. So, oh, no, it's not. Okay, so this one's a little different. I have to take this one, and at the back, I want to start right at the edge of this white. And at the front, I want to start about 1.5 mils into the blue. For mils, I mean millimeters, not mils like plastic bags are measured in mils. That's different. That's thousandths of an inch. Y mils and mils are both the same shorthand for two different entire systems of measurement. I have no idea. Okay, now let me double check because I may need to do this on the other side as well. Yep, I do. The fun of handcrafting stuff. This is actually fun. I really enjoy this sort of thing. But I am going to have to do the same thing on this side. So. Okay, while this finishes cooling, I'm going to go do something to my computer and see if I can stop this buffering being quite so bad. It worked the last time a little. We'll see if it works this time a little. If not, the stream will drop, one of the two. If it does, I will come back on a second stream. If that one drops, I will not come back on a third. That is my normal. Okay, well, it did not immediately throw me offline, so that is good. So, let's see if my connection gets any better. The weather is sort of overcast and all that sort of stuff here, so it may just be the weather. It may just be Comcast being garbage. Could be any number of reasons, but here's hoping that the system fixes itself here in a moment. Still says I'm buffering, so I don't know if y'all can hear me, but it says I'm connected just poorly, and I'm just going to keep working because there's not really much else I can do. Oh, come on now. There we go. Glue was arguing with me, trying to catch my knife and pull it the wrong direction. Oh, doing it again. That's some delicate work. Woo! Okay, now I know that this is too wide, but I got to figure out how much too wide. So, that foam in my knife. All right. There it is. Okay. Okay. So that needs to be about 1 mil in on that end, and right at the white on this end. So we will take that and do the same thing we did on the other side. Oh, there's a piece of glue in my way. That out of the, oh, no, come on now. There it go. There it goes. All righty. This should be my last big long cut here. It says my connection is behaving itself for right this minute. Just in time for you to hear the squeaky foam. Wasn't too bad once I got past that first little bit of glue. Okay. Wow, it did not take much to fix that, but still needed it. I don't know if you can see that. There's a tiny little sliver of blue on that. Okay, so now we can actually get to the point of the video tonight of putting thingamies on. Now, as you can see here, I have put some trim here under the baluster and then above it as well. And I'm going to try to continue this motif up and over. So the buffering is bad. So now I need to take, now that I've got a straight line on the side, I'm going to put a piece here of the white stuff here, which is, if I remember correctly, a centimeter wide. It could be a ½ inch. Let's measure. Yeah, centimeter wide. I know I'm mixing my measurements. I do that. Okay, so I went plain white, and it needs to be longer than that strip. Oh, which that is if I disregard this little crack here, which is going to be fine. It's going to be easy enough to do. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so I need to make that a centimeter wide, give or take. And I am not being hyper specific about this. In fact, I'm going to measure it off my other one because I have other strips already cut. But after having the various incidents with foam over the last couple of weeks, I don't seem to have them in evidence anymore. So I'm going to take that and metal straight edge. I always use metal straight edges, not plastic or wood, because the knives can cut into the plastic or wood. That's literally my own reason. Right now, it's actually a little chilly in the basement, so I'd rather be not using metal because I'm very cold, but that is okay. I am cold-blooded to begin with, so I am kind of always cold. Oops, and the other piece broke off. That's all right. I can make this work. All right, so what we are going to do is we're going to take the tiniest bit of glue. And you don't have to do this if you use a piece of longer foam. I'm just being chintzy. And sticking those together. While that's setting up, I'm going to use that in the next one. Always gauge when you can instead of measure. Just saves so much time and effort. Plus, it all matches. You don't need to remember that it's 39/64 of an inch or whatever. The real problem with the buffering tonight is that by the time it tells me it's buffering, the lag means that I don't know if it's back yet or not. So the lag is always there. That's just a thing to do with the YouTubes. Anybody who's ever done a live stream knows exactly what I'm talking about. And yeah. Okay, now that one, it's this part. And then that will get glued together just like the other one did. And again, you don't have to do this if you use one solid piece of foam. I'm just being an idiot. Not being an idiot, I'm kind of an idiot. Not about everything. About some stuff, I'm just like hard-headed. Okay, so when all is said and done and this stuff gets textured and all that, I'm actually not texturing the bottom parts of the railing. It's literally just not worth the effort. I think I did on this one, but it's literally just not worth the effort. It keeps spinning, and I don't know if it's static or if there's a glue strand on it. I think it's just static. It wants to stick to my hand. Okay, so now I have the two side strips. What I'm going to do is take the first one while the glue's dried on. Now the broken part, the weaker part, I'm going to put at the back because I can trim off the front piece more easily if it's not the broken part. Now, I need this cut at a 45-degree-ish angle so that I can put a piece back across here and have a nice connection here rather than just a gap and all that. So I'm literally just eyeballing it, and I will make the other piece fit. That seems goodish. Okay, now this part needs to go. It's going to be the same length. I need to put the lip on the side first. So I need a lot more foam. Let me go grab some more foam. I wasn't going to bother. But now, after gluing this other piece together, it turns out I have to bother. Okay. So now this one still has the paper on it. Let me get that off of there. Now this is the good quality foam core, which means the paper doesn't want to come off. So I will show you the easiest way I have found to deal with that. Half rubbing alcohol, half water. Rub that in. Let it soak just long enough for the paper to look wet. If you missed any spots, they'll be a different color, so easy to find. Then you wait just a few seconds. Oops. Oh, this paper is being ornery. This one wants to come apart. I was going to say, this works really easy, and now it's not. But it will break down the paper and or the glue. We're just gonna get a piece that's already peeled, because why not? I've wasted enough of y'all's time with extra pieces on back there. All those edge strips and everything. So let me see if I can't grab them. No, that's also good quality. I need my crummy quality. Aha! I found my shipped pieces. Excellent. Okay, so these are already wood textured, so I'm going to use them. I textured the one side. They curve because when you peel the paper off, they curl to the direction that you peel the paper off of. I don't want the paper on there, so I'm going to take that off in a second, but I'm going to go ahead and cut my centimeter strips I need. Got a centimeter rule somewhere, if I can find it. There it is. Okay. I don't know if you can see that, but it's got centimeters on it. Also has inches, but I'm not using that. Yanks will use anything to avoid using the metric system. They'll go so far as to even use the metric system. I have no idea what time it is. I kind of lost track of just chatting and mumbling to myself. Okay. I got time. Time is on my side. Yes, it is. Great song. Crummy movie. I know. A lot of horror fans like, oh my God, it's so good. No, it's not. It's not. I mean, it probably is as far as horror movies go. I'm just not the horror movie guy. You can ask just about anyone. Everybody knows that he doesn't do the horror stuff. Which is funny. So all my friends are like into Call of Cthulhu and stuff on role-playing games and everything. I'm like, oh, yeah, y'all have fun. Oh, I meant to peel this before I cut it, but, well, I'm there now. Okay. Am I going to need this much centimeter trim? No. Maybe. I've got to do the bow as well, so that will be off camera. I'm not going to make y'all sit through all of this again next week. I don't think. Not sure what I'm doing next week. Probably cargo pieces, barrels, and stuff like that. maybe. I don't know. Barrels, crates, bottles, jugs, amphorae. You know, usual stuff to be on a boat, ship, whatever. Okay. Getting down to this close to edge down here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take another piece, the same thickiness, and I'm going to use that to, sorry about that noise, to support the back edge of my straight edge so that it, so I can get my cuts as straight and true as possible. Not trying to be super precise, but I like it to sort of look like I wasn't, inebriated. Don't craft while inebriated. I mean, unless you don't like fingers. If you're angry at fingers, sure. But I never told you that, so don't do that. Just dumb. That way madness lies. A house in the middle of the street. Sorry, that's a madness joke. Sorry if y'all don't get that. Went from the Rolling Stones to madness. Well, British invasion of music tonight, I'm guessing. Okay. Oh, wow, that is wonky. We'll put you off to the side. But the first two are good. We'll use them. Okay. Now, these have already been sort of... Oh, you can't see that at all. Wood grained. This is going to be my lip around the ship. Don't go around here. This is cut off at an angle, which I actually kind of like. So I'm going to use that as my front leading edge here. And we'll be trailing edges on the bow parts. Oh, while I'm here, like, share, subscribe after the video's done, or if you're watching this in the future, leave me a comment. Likes to drive the algorithm, all that fun stuff. You know how it goes. All right. So this is cheap paper, so I know, cheap foam core, so I know the paper will peel off of this easily. All righty. And then this is pretty straightforward. I'm going to flip this upside down so that this matches at the top. And I'm going to glue this along this now straightened edge that I fixed with that blue foam. I'm going to come across here. At the back, I'm going to cut a slight angle, but not until it's already glued on. So, little beads of glue along this edge. Already done this 3 times tonight. You should know what I'm doing with this. You didn't do the first 3 on camera. Why are you doing it now on camera? Yeah, that's because I'm standing now, so I can get to it at a different angle. And just like that, I've hidden all of that mess on the side. And you can see that is a pretty straight line. I did a pretty good job of, well, maybe you can't see, but you will be able to in a moment. Did a pretty good job of flattening that with that blue foam. Okay, so here's where I was talking about having to cut that in at a 45-degree-ish angle. And we're just gonna do that by eyeball. And we're gonna take that angle and start at the front here. That gives me that same little tapered in point there. And I'm gonna do the back part at the end, or at, third. Ooh, that's not gonna glue it in the right spot. Oh, it's gonna be attached to the top. Never mind, that'll be fine. This is fine. You can fix a lot of things just by covering them with trim, which is what I am doing. That's what I'm doing right now, putting trim on, and then I'm gonna have to fix the trim with the more trim, which is fine. That's a good way to do it. Okay, make sure the angles align correctly. Don't glue myself to the ship like I just did. And press that into place as well. Now we know that that's relatively flat, so I'm just gonna stand that up and press down. Cubic beans. Hard to find square beans. Yeah, measure everything in cubic beans. Several times this week, literally several times this week, the Abe Simpson comment has come up of, my car gets 40 rods to the hogshead, and that's the way I likes it. Yeah, cubic beans. I could do that. I can do cubic beans. Alrighty. So now, peel that. Hopefully more easily than that last one did, where it ripped in half, but I fixed it in the end. It's all good. Okay. I don't save all these pieces of paper. I figure paper's the least of my worries about what's ending up in landfills or recycling. Okay, now this one's tapered kind of the wrong way. That's the in manufacturing process from the cards. I want this to come inward, so I'm going to take that and just sort of eyeball that and cut that off to match the other one's angle. And that should butt right in like that. This does not have to be perfect because I can push it together, and there's going to be trim on top of it. It'll all disappear. It's all good. So now I need to put just a little bit. He hasn't trimmed the other end yet. Yes, I know. You'll see. There's madness to my method. And just a little bit along here to get it started. But I'm making sure to get glue on the angle as well, because I want to mush those together and make them basically become one piece stylistically. Obviously not actually one, not melting them together. Okay. And that's gotten rid of most of that gap and whatever there. All these little stringers of glue, you can get rid of them at the end by just briefly running a heat gun over the stuff, and all those little strings just shrink up, which I will probably do later. Okay, so now I want to come down to the other end and copy that angle again, just by eye, and cut that one off. And now, ha-ha! That fits right in like that. And pushing that in, I can see that it's got a little bit of flex to it and catch, so I didn't get it quite small enough, which is good. It's easier to take it off than it is to add it back on. I'm literally taking off, half a millimeter. I need better light than that. There we go. That was not enough. Nope, it was almost enough. And people say, oh, you just need to shave off just like a hair. No, a hair would be too much. I am taking off tiny amounts of foam. There we go. There we go. And now you can see that matches up perfectly. All right. Now I'll put hot glue. I'll kind of lift that up a little to get some down in that crevice. And then run a bead along the edge. You don't want too much, it'll squidge out everywhere, so not a big deal. You can always cut off the hot glue. And make sure to get down in that angled part again, so that you get a good connection right there at the end. And again, I'm using the flat board to press that into place. Wow, I have a lot of glue squidged out on that, but that's all right. I'll show you how to trim that up in just a second. All right. Kind of glued to my board again, not a big deal. All right. But it can make my stuff go a little wonky, so let's go ahead and scrape that off. Yep, here we go. Okay. There we go. That corner's done. Got a little bit of fuzziness going on there. Okay, this part where it's squidged out, where there's glue, you can either just grab a hold of it and pull it off, or if you got a really sharp knife and patience, you can slowly cut through it. If you try to ram through it, the glue will push your knife blade out of the way or into your piece. You certainly don't want to trim your foam in an incorrect manner by trying to trim the glue off that. That's just going to infuriate you. Ask me how I know. Okay, so it looks a little wonky with the blue and all that, but it's all going to be hidden with trim, and it's all going to be hidden with paint. So as you can see, it sits level, sits level, sits level, sits level, and yeah, that looks good. Okay, so now we can get to the top trim, and then we can get to the push pins. Now the top trim is going to be a little weird because it fits like a glove. Look at that. It's like I designed it that way. Okay, so this is the inner piece of trim. There's going to be an outer piece of trim across the top, but we're not getting to that yet. So this piece doesn't have to be curved off at an angle, but it does need to be trimmed back at the back at a 45. So now, since it's going here and this is angled off, I'm going to trim that, but not until after it's glued into place. So I want to take this piece and holding that in place, eyeballing the 45-degree angle again. It's not 45 because the ship actually tapers, but I'm just calling it 45 to get the idea across. All this is done by eyeball, so You want to be really careful because you don't want to cut into your deck. I still haven't put boards on this. I was gonna... Okay, so we're not doing push pins tonight because I forgot I needed to do decking. Okay. I have screwed up all of that. All of this was unnecessary. I needed to put decks on this. So what I am going to do is do this an entirely different way. I'm going to make this deck different than I have done all of my candy colored stripings before. I am actually going to make this deck out of wood after the fact. So I know what I'm doing next week. I'm fixing my errors. Shh, don't tell anybody. No one will ever know. There's a piece I just cut. There it is. Okay, so I put the wood grain side up and gonna glue that along there. And that's gonna cover all of that up and leave a little edge where I know where the railing is. And anyway, you'll see. It's all good. It's all good. It's all good. I am dumb and made a big mistake. Don't do what I did. I meant to trim all of this out in deck boards and just, didn't. Okay, so again, we want to use this flat edge. Make sure that it's straight along that edge because that's the important thing. That's the thing we're trying to clean up in the first place. And I could, if I was really excited about it, put another piece of trim here to cover this gap, this little line, but I kind of like the line. I noticed that when I was doing this part, which is the same as this line here. And so I'm not going to cover it. I like it like this. All right, now, like I said, I've got this slight taper off here, so we'll tip that upside down, trim that tiny little piece off. Not worth saving. Yeah, good to go on that one. Now I'm going to do the exact same thing on the other side. I hope this piece is long enough. Are you wood trimmed? No, you're that one I had earlier. You're wood. What did I do? Oh, never mind. The piece that was left there was too short. That's what happened. I think. You're that piece that's glued together. Are you? You're that piece that's glued together. Are you? I should have an extra. I don't know. I lost yet another piece of the foam. Who knew? Okay. Peeling this again. Again, this is easy with the cheapy dollar store stuff. If you have high quality foam core, it can be much harder to get the paper off. You saw that happen earlier. Okay, now I want to make sure I do have a wood grained texture on that. I want to make sure I'm using that side as my up rather than have to texture the backside. Okay, so we're gonna add along there. Again, eyeball that angle coming in. Sorry, I'm at a weird angle for y'all to not see this. I'm too right-handed to do it the other way. So it's like that. Keep that piece so I know where the wood grain piece is this time. Okay, same deal. I have made an executive decision just now. I am actually going to trim the deck boards out by hand, but off camera. They're going to look just like all the ones in the cabins do, a much more delicate issue. And so I will have done that on this by next week. It is exactly 8 o'clock. I like to finish between an hour and a half. It has been exactly an hour. So I am going to get to some pushpins tonight, finally. I mean, that's literally the name of the video for the night. So let's actually do that. I've cut this a little bit long because I know I'm going to get that incorrect. So, and I couldn't see it to trim it. So yep, that is just a little bit off. And so is this board. So let me trim the board more vertical. I say board, it's foam, but you know what I mean. I have turned it into fake lumber. Okay, so now we know this one fits at this end, which is good. And we know this one does not fit at this end, which is good that we know that. And I need to take off about the same as I took off with that other one. Just that tiny little sliver there on the end. But I did get the angle correct, so that's good. Stop sticking to me. Static electricity. Grr. It's always worse in the winter. It's been really dry lately. All right. Good, good. Now, on these, because this has got all sorts of weird geometry and funky angles and it's hard to visualize that, I'm going to put the glue on the strip. But I do also want to go ahead and get glue on these corners so it sticks really well in there. And then I hope that that is still warm and cool, warm enough to not be hardened and stiffened when I get this piece done and in place. So, and again, using the flat board to keep that flush and smooth along the back edge of the ship. Okay. That is gratifying. You don't know, because all that stuff was needing to be done, but it's not fun. It just needs doing. Okay, so it's so beautiful. I love this. Well, you got to remember, about the third or fourth week I was building this thing, I was like, nah, this thing's irritating me and I don't like it. And I have grown to really, really be enjoying this project. I have no idea where I'm going to put this thing when I'm done with it, but I'm enjoying the doing. I am not enjoying the buffering. My system keeps going completely out and then suddenly coming back and telling me I have excellent signal. And I'm like, how can you go back and forth between none and excellent and none and excellent? So annoying. Let's see what kind of, okay, that's an entirely different kind of thumbtack, not a push pin. So we will take those, put those out of the way. I am going to be using up my push pins, not my, okay, I need to sort of, pardon my pun of using the two words the two different ways, sort of sort these. I'm taking all my thumbtacks and putting them out of the way. Some of these push pins have heads cut off of them at one point for a different project, but I don't think I have any of those left. I do have a couple more of the thumbtacks, so we'll get those out of the way. The reason I'm not, there's two reasons I'm using these up. One is I would rather finish off the ones I've got before I start the next one, the next package, but also the next package is transparent and you see what I'm doing with the colored ones. But the transparent ones, you won't be able to really see it on camera until the paint starts to go on. Okay, now, on here, I started to do these with a gap between them. And then I really didn't like it, especially in relation to the size of the miniatures. So I am putting them right against each other. I'm starting, I got to figure out where that piece is going to come up and over the top. I've always been a little over the top. But the top piece of the railing is going to come along. It's going to start, fit down in there. You fit a second ago. Why are you not fitting? There it goes. Okay. It's going to come up this way and arc over. So I don't want one right at this corner. Also, this is standing just a little proud. So trim that off. When I say a little, I mean a little. This one seems to be okay. So I want to continue these lines up and over, which means I'm going to need a tiny little piece here. There was no way I was trying to make that curve around that. That's too much. So I need a tiny piece here. And then there will be a second piece that comes up and over like that. So I have a nice curve down here. So right now I'm just putting a little rectangle right here, which I can do with the broken pieces, because that's going to basically, just one of these short pieces. And that's going to go. Now, because of this sitting over the top and latching in, there's an overhang. And I am not really accounting for that. I'm simply putting another piece here, and there will be an offset, but that matches that curved piece right there. And I am just going to be fine with that being offset like that. I just don't care. So this curves slightly under. I don't want that on this piece, so I'm going to go ahead and take that off. And this piece is going to get glued right on the front, right there, in line with that piece of trim I put here. So this is offset from this. I don't know if I can actually show that on camera because of the white foam, but that's going to sit just like that. Yeah, okay, good. You can see what I'm talking about. Yes, there will be a weird little spot right here. I don't care. Like I said, if this was not for playability and I was trying to make it pretty for like a diorama, yes, I would change that. Okay, so glue here and here. And, oh, I probably shouldn't have angled that part off. Oh well, that's fine. Not a big deal. It is good enough. Oh, and I did put the foam, the wood grain out, so you could, just in case, but it's going to get covered by another piece anyway, so really does not matter. Same thing on this other side. Again, low temp glue. If you use it's all hot glue, but the low temp of the hot. If you use the high temp, you can easily melt all of this stuff and deform it and then be really angry about it. At least I get angry about it. Okay, now I am realizing, again, like I said, this is all by eye and going along as I go, that does not have enough clearance to do what I want. So the piece that comes up and over can glue right where this is. So I'm going to take those two pieces I just put on right back off. Luckily, the glue is still a little bit malleable. It'll come right off, and we're going to glue back over it later. So again, I saved little pieces. Those go in my rubble pile. And yeah, okay. Now, you've got to figure out roughly how much that's going to arc over. I'm going to take the glue off my knife, and then I'm going to cut that at a very, very slight angle because that will be arcing over that later. I'll do that on both sides. Y'all don't need to know what I'm talking about. You'll see pictures on the Discord that are up close and personal after I get this done sometime this week. Okay, now I'm actually getting around to putting push pins on this. Remember the push pins? Video out, push pins. Okay, so I'm going to put one right at the corner. And I'm not just putting them in. That's just to get me started, makes the little hole. I know what I'm doing. But what I do is I take the end of the nozzle, the nib of the glue gun. I'm putting the push pin in there, and I am squishing out a little glue as it comes out. Not a lot, because it'll squidge out of the sides. I'm putting just a little on there so there is glue on it. Then when I stick it back in the little spot, splook, wipe off any excess if I want to. And look, I have actually put a push pin in my ship. Just like the video said. Who knew? Now, dozens of them across the way. This is going to be really repetitive, so I don't really have anything to say while I'm doing this. I guess I could check see if anybody's still in the chat after all the times that my stream has disconnected and reconnected. Oh, we're still back on square beans. Okay, nobody's having anything new. Filter my... Oh, okay. I've been rebuilding shop stuff, cleaning the shop, stripping old minis in the ultrasonic, sorting all the minis for the Orc and Goblin army, preparing buckets to build a filter to filter wash alcohol for resin printing. Yep, that's all important stuff. I don't have a 3D printer. If I had one, I would probably get an FDM one, but that's just because I don't do too much stuff with minis. I'm more into the terrain than the minis. It's that simple. It's nothing against minis or anything like that. Okay, as you can see, I am putting those across right next to each other. Now, some of these are slightly different heights. It is not going to matter. Every time I've done this push pin type stuff, not with this, but like with a bar railing. When I was doing a build just over with somebody years ago and some other stuff, and they were like, but they're different heights, and it's not going to matter. When it's all said and done, you're going to run a bead of glue across the top of that and stick a railing on top of it. That bead of glue will take up any wobbliness, and you can just lay it on there smooth and flat. So I am putting glue on each of the push pins, though, just to make sure they stick well. I want them glued top and bottom, so right now we're gluing the bottoms. I'm not paying any attention to the colors because I don't care. They're all going to get painted brown, and they probably brown, I think. There's going to be purple on the ship as well. So these may end up being purple, but that's for me to decide later. But the natural variances in the plastics of red push pin sitting next to blue push pin sitting next to green push pin are going to stop the balusters from all looking entirely uniform, which is good because wood is not a uniform color. You can have it all with the paint job. You can have it all look like it's from the same species without looking like it's, machine made and pre-cut. So. Okay, I'm getting sort of toward the center here, so I'm going to start on the other side. The reason is, if for some reason these are not exactly push pin width apart as a measurement, if I end up with a gap, it'll be one gap right in the center. So it'll look like I meant to do that. Did I mean to do that? No. Did I plan for the possibility of that? Yes. I don't know if anybody's still watching, because my stream is crap. Not the stream. The stream is lovely. The stream connectivity is crap. Ooh, got that one a little off. I can fix that. Nope, the glue has already glued. Where that is where that's staying. But you could go back and fix it. Yes, I could. Not gonna. Man, I'm having enough trouble seeing these as it is. I'm gonna hate this when I get to the ones that are all transparent. Oh, that pushpin's dead to me. Threw itself on the ground. Lost to the eternity. No, pushpin down. Pushpin has not fulfilled its push pinnacle destiny. I'm putting glue on these pushpins way over here on the edge of the scene because I'm a professional. Actually, I am a professional. I do technically get paid for this. That's 8 on that side. That's 9 on that side. Like I said, I'm just trying to keep, if any potential gap in here, I'm trying to keep centered. So doing the same. Stupid connection. Wow. Nothing to do with anything, but you can tell this is a different brand of pushpin. The little stalk part, the metal part, is way longer than the others. Weird. Okay, now I do not have 3 pushpins width in there, but I have more than 2, so I'm just going to kind of fudge it to sort of take up that gap rather than accentuate the gap. As all my British friends would say, mind the gap. All the Americans go like, what? I can't do the announcer voice. I know. You know that when that person that did the mind the gap retired, they tried to use a different voice, and so many people complained they had to get them to record. They took previous recordings and they use those now because it's just what so many Brits are used to hearing that they couldn't change it. I think is kind of sweet in its own way. Certainly understandable, put it that way. Find the gap. On track 4, departing for Innsmouth. He's trying to do that fake British accent. No, I'm trying to do the fake mid-Atlantic accent, which is neither British nor American or real. I mean, it's real in that people used it, but it's very specifically an affectation. Nobody's brought up speaking that way. I mean, I guess if your family's already a celebrity who's been voice trained to speak that way, maybe. Anyway. Barely brought up to speak English correctly. That's not true. I was brought up to speak English hyper correctly. That's a tragic backstory of my life. Yeah, okay. We're leaving that alone. So I like doing the live streams because unlike edited video, you can see what really goes into this. All my foibles and mess ups and sometimes things don't work and sometimes things work in amazing ways that you didn't expect. And you get to see all the good and the bad and ugly. And that's why I really like doing these. And it lets people know that, you know, 30-second social media clip where person, you know, first you draw 2 circles Then you draw another circle on top. And then you have an owl. You know, that's not how art works. Blood, sweat, tears. Ooh, that's weird. There was a bubble in my hot glue stick. It's hard to get glue onto that one. That's all right. We made it through. You can see why I needed a new box of push pins. This is using up a lot of push pins. Give me a second. I need to, now that I've got 6 on, it doesn't matter how many on each side, but I'm getting the glue off my hand just for a second. Okay, let's try this again. Not try, I mean, it's working. Okay, I'm going to go to about 10 pins per side, and then I'm going to let y'all go because we're heading towards the hour-and-a-half mark anyway. So, in spite of the connectivity, I've been having a really good session. I'm hoping that y'all have been enjoying it. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This one's broken on top, but it'll be fine because it's all going to be hidden by that top rail anyway. So the fact that that pin is cracked is not going to matter because it's all going to have a railing across the top of it like that. You will never see that. Yeah, well, I mean, if it's cracked like that, you probably don't want to use it. That one's kind of jacked up. Oh, I don't know. What are you going to do? It's 8. 9. And 10. The 9 or 10 doesn't matter. That's just the number I'm going at. So this is my railing so far. And at some point, I will put a piece on top of that. I'm not going to do that yet because I still want to finish these out with the thumbtacks or push pins. And then I will do the railing, but I will do the railing on top exactly like I did this railing here. Wood grain side up, 45-degree angle at the end. Doopy doopy doop. I will have this rail and these boards done for next week on both the aft and forward decks. Oh yeah, I put it over there. I forgot. All right, so that is where we're at so far. That is what I've accomplished tonight. I'm hoping that ends up being my thumbnail, so I'm going to sit there and hold it, and hopefully it will. That'd be kind of cool. Yeah, I'm going to switch to the other camera. Let me get this light off because otherwise it blinds y'all over there. And then I'm going to let y'all go. And y'all probably have already left because of all the connectivity issues, but you know what I mean. All right. Okay, so I want to go to that camera. Hello. Okay, so I busted push pins going in here. My one remaining push pin that I have by itself, I think I'm going to go ahead and stick in here. I know I said I was doing 10 on each side and all that, but rather than just having one usable push pin floating around on its lonesome by itself, I'm going to go ahead and stick it in here with its little buddies. There we go. We are good there. That pains me to do that because I am super into symmetry, but what are you going to do? So I will be breaking into my box of push pins. I keep showing the camera like I'm still talking here. I'm going to be breaking into my box of push pins for this next week. So there's 200 in here. I certainly ought to be able to finish that front railing with that. This one, the push pins will stop probably about here. That rail will come up, be attached here with the glue. That will be its base for its sturdiness. It will come up at a slight arc and over and connect to that first push pin and run its way along here. That's going to be a doozy to do, and I don't want to do that on camera because I will probably say things that would get me kicked off of YouTube. So I sometimes get irked when I mess things up. Other times I use it as a learning experience. It depends on the day and how much caffeine I've had again. I know I haven't had enough today, that's for sure. All right, so yeah, this is campaign terrain. I do chill stuff. I hang out and make ships. Did that correctly so I don't get bleeped on YouTube again. And I make all sorts of stuff, not just ships. I don't normally do ships. Ships is a really unusual thing for me to be doing. But I will be working on this for the next foreseeable future, I think. I've got to finish these railings. I'm going to do that off camera. I've got to finish these boards. I'm going to do that off camera. But then I'm getting to that piece in the middle where it's got to have, I've got to align everything. So the piece where I decide to have the mechanics down through the ship, I need it lined up. So it's 3 different decks. The top, the captain's quarters through them. The next one below it is going to have a piece, and up here on top there's going to be a box, and that box will have the actual wheel attached to it. I still have to figure out how to build the wheel. I'm probably going to use some little type of wooden circle with ornamental toothpicks, those ones with the little handles on the ends. I'm going to clip those off and stick them on so it looks like a sailing ship. But this is my own fantasy world. It doesn't have to look like our sailing ship. It could look completely different. So I don't actually know how I'm doing that. I'm just doing the mechanics similar to how our ships work. I build chill stuff in miniature. That's what I do. That's what I'm here for. I like anything miniature. If you are into anything miniature, please come hang out at the Discord, or I'll see you next week. For now, I'm still going to be on Sundays. Soon, I'm going to be switching to Saturdays because it makes people, it interferes with less things. Some people that normally don't get to see this will be able to see it. I will also be doing it earlier when I switch to Saturdays. So instead of 7 at Sundays at 7, it'll be Saturdays at like 4 Eastern. Maybe 5. Need to discuss that with somebody, but 4 or 5. That's it. If you build miniature stuff, swing by my Discord, come and have a chat. Love to have you. Links down below. If you just want to watch me do silly stuff with hot glue and a billion other products, yeah, I'll see you next week. This is Campaign Terrain. I'm your host, That Guy Cross. Sorry for bashing the mic. We're all in this together. I love you. And until next time, I wish you luck in your campaign, whether that's in real life or on the table. Thank you so much for coming, and thank you so much for putting up with the technical issues that have been going on during the last several weeks. Happy New Year. I hope this one goes exceedingly well for you, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks so much.